Texas works to fight the trend of teachers leaving the classroom.
You pay people for the work they do, and you pay them respectfully.
But some districts are trying something different, pushing penalties to keep people from quitting. The threat and why some teachers are still leaving despite the risk. Leaders of the Texas foster care system taken to task in a tense court hearing, the unresolved issues in a case that's lasted more than a decade. And a border wall built and paid for by the state of Texas. But is it worth the cost?
When you do a mile or 2 miles of wall and you have 60 miles of border, I mean, they're still going to come through.
The questions and concerns as the new wall moves closer to completion.
Produced from the Capitol in Austin and airing statewide, this is the award-winning State of Texas.
Hello and thank you for joining us. I'm Daniel Marin in for Josh Hinkle. The Texas foster care system and its leaders taken to task in a drama-filled court hearing. Now, we've told you how this case started more than a decade ago and it is still unresolved. Federal Judge Janice Graham-Jack told the head of the Department of Family and Protective Services, quote, "I see where we are going, and where we have been," openly calling on the state to fix the issues. At the hearing, the judge even asked if the state should tap into its rainy day fund to pay for the court order changes. The hearing touched on a number of issues, including the open investigations into the refuge ranch in Bastrop. Court monitors disagreed with findings from the Texas Rangers when the Department of Public Safety said there was no evidence that girls were sexually abused or trafficked while at the ranch. This led Judge Jack to call for monitors to make a criminal referral to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The hearing also covered several ongoing concerns with the system. Investigator Avery Travis listened in on that hearing and joins us now for some more insight. Avery, the judge seemed frustrated that the changes to the foster care system aren't really moving as fast as she wants.
Daniel, we heard frustration really from all sides during that hearing, from outbursts on the courtroom virtual feed to the state's attorneys really pushing back on some of the claims being made. The judge says she was disappointed with what she called a pervasive attitude of disrespect about calls for change to this system that have been echoing for decades. Late last year, we told you about the panel of national experts convened to evaluate the systemic issues with Texas foster care. They released their recommendations in January, including more mental health resources, more treatment foster care options. That's an effort to get kids out of treatment centers and into foster homes that are better equipped with resources. Another big focus of their report was reducing the number of kids living in unlicensed placements, such as CPS office buildings and hotels. The state reported during this hearing 81 children without placement right now. That's compared to hundreds reported last year. But the judge was still alarmed by more than 700 children who are living in placements out of state.
And a big part of the hearing focused on those claims of exploitation of the girls living at the refuge, that shelter for sex trafficking victims. How did that play out in court?
Well, that tension has, of course, been building for weeks after claims nude photos were taken of those girls at the refuge in Bastrop. We've told you how the Texas Rangers expect a former employee there to be arrested for child pornography charges, but that arrest has not happened yet. The head of DPS reported no evidence of ongoing abuse or trafficking. Now, that's a statement federal judge Janice Jack says made her doubt the quality of the entire investigation. She criticized law enforcement on several points, including a claim that one of the girls hadn't been interviewed at the time Rangers released those initial findings. So the judge told the court that she actually plans to have the case referred to the U.S. Attorney's Office to investigate possible federal charges for child pornography and to investigate the potential of anyone who's obstructing justice in this case.
Then before the hearing, we heard from the federal court monitors who oversee the foster care system. They put out a report which criticized the DPS findings that contain new details about the ongoing investigation into the refuge. What did the judge have to say about that?
Yeah, the judge had a lot to say about that report. She actually applauded the monitors for that detailed report that they put out. But the attorneys for the state turned around and had some concerns about its effect on the ongoing DPS investigation, asking everyone there to let that investigation play out. They also asked for any future reports from the monitors to be sealed. Now, the judge emphasized her belief that the monitors hadn't shared any more confidential details than other state agency heads and DPS already had. Now, before the hearing, DPS did send us a statement reiterating their investigation is still ongoing. The judge ended the hearing by saying talk is cheap. She was really asking all of the parties involved to work together. She directed them to look at other state successes and then work with lawmakers to find the funding necessary to really help with all of those initiatives laid out in those monitors and experts reports.
All right, so the search for solutions continues. Avery, thank you so much for the insight. And we want to take a deeper look at the court-appointed monitors in this case. A federal court assigned them years ago to make sure the state was doing enough to protect children. As Jala Washington shows us, the monitors are paid millions to know the system from the inside out.
Yeah, this is my daughter, Mia.
Andrea Brower's daughter was in the foster care system for several years.
She had experienced neglect.
Hearing the latest allegations of sexual abuse at the Bastrop shelter, it's hard for Brower not to wonder if that could have been her Mia.
The longer they're in the system, the more likely it is that things like this happen.
The state of Texas has struggled with its foster care system. In fact, a lawsuit has been going on for years, which is why a federal judge appointed 2 people to lead oversight of the state's system. Paul Yetter is the lead attorney on that case, representing foster children. He's seen the work the monitors and their team have done.
They have made dozens of visits to different facilities all around the state at all hours of the day and night. They have reviewed countless records.
The team costs Texas about $1.3 million, keeping track of thousands of foster children across Texas.
And as many as 55 professionals that have helped them keep track of what the state is doing and find new problems literally almost every month.
The oversight, though, isn't something everyone agrees with.
Nobody can really tell me what their purpose is other than they answer to the judge, and there's really no incentive for the system to get better.
Without a doubt, it's a polarizing debate, but families, politicians, and advocates agree the foster care system needs to be fixed.
We are aware, and I think Mia is aware, that she's pretty lucky.
Jala Washington, State of Texas.
And the monitors help track the state's compliance with court-ordered changes to the system. And again, that legal case goes back more than a decade.
To address the issue, we really got to deal with why it is teachers are leaving.
There's a teacher shortage in Texas. How some districts are using the threat of suspending licenses to keep staff from leaving.
The Texas Medical Board has completely failed in its job, so we're going to have to step in and do it for them.
Our investigation exposes doctors with problematic pasts coming to Texas, why one lawmaker says the state needs to do more to protect patients.